Dear learners, in this session we will discuss about dissociation constant. Now, any compound that has acidic nature or basic nature may undergo the process of dissociation. What this process of dissociation actually means? Any chemical compound can break down into its smaller constituent. So the process by which this chemical compound undergoes breakdown into its individual constituent is known as the process of dissociation. Suppose you are having component AXBY which undergoes dissociation. So upon facilitating the process of dissociation, this AXBY may undergo conversion into its individual constituent as X number of A component and Y number of B component. So when you are dealing with the dissociation constant, so the proportion between these two as a product and as an individual constituent lies in such a order that the ratio of the respective ion concentration divided by the concentration of non-ionic molecule will give you dissociation constant. So you can say that this dissociation constant is nothing but the tendency of a particular substance in a solution to be dissociated into ions. So this particular material undergoes the process of dissociation, forming a ionic concentration of individual constituent. So once you are plotting the ratio of product of this individual constituent to the product of non-ionic molecule, that is your final product, that is your final compound which is in undissociated form, so you can say that this ratio is nothing but dissociation constant. In the same way, the degree of dissociation, this degree of dissociation determines the relative amount of ionized and unionized form of the drug. So the weakly acidic drug or weakly basic drug may influence the process of distribution, and once this process of distribution is influenced, you may have ionized drug and unionized drug. So the ratio of ionized and unionized drug in terms of dissociation constant is given by Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. The equation says that pH of any compound is equal to sum of its dissociation concentration or dissociation constant and the log of ratio of the unionized form of that drug to the concentration of ionized form of drug. So by this you can have the equation as pH is equal to pKa plus log of ratio of concentration of unionized form to the concentration of ionized form. So this Henderson-Hasselbalch equation helps in calculation of ionization constant of a compound at a particular pH. Means you can easily have the dissociation constant, you can easily have an idea about pH of your compound if you are having concentration of ionized compound and concentration of unionized compound. There are various methods by which you can have measurement of dissociation constant, and these measurement methods are potentiometric titration method where your pH determination is the basis, spectrophotometric method where you are dealing with UV visible spectroscopy, colorimetry method where you are going to employ the principle of colorimeter for the determination of dissociation constant. The next method where you are focusing on separation and isolation of compound by means of liquid chromatography, and the last method that we will discuss about will be capillary zone electrophoresis for the measurement of dissociation constant. Let's first of all focus on potentiometric titration method. Dissociation of weak acid. If you are having weak acid, the dissociation of this weak acid represents one of the proton exchange reaction, and these reactions are called as acid-base reaction. So according to Lowry-Bronsted, if any compound donates proton, you are referring that substance as a protogenic substance, and if any compound accepts that proton, then you are referring them as a protophilic substance. So according to Lowry-Bronsted theory, acid is the protogenic substance and base is the protophilic substance. Acid donates proton, whereas base accepts proton. So in a potentiometric titration, the same base is utilized for the determination of dissociation constant. And for the sake of potentiometric titration, you will require two pH electrode which are responsible to monitor the course of titration. So as like your volumetric titration, you are going to pour your sample from burette into the assembly, but the difference is in volumetric titration you are referring color changes as the end point, whereas in potentiometric titration you are going to focus on change in the pH. So though you are titrating acid or base using pH electrode, the titration is known as potentiometric titration. And for that sake you will require two basic electrodes. One stands as reference electrode and second will be worked as indicator electrode. So you are going to dip this electrode into your analyte solution and then you will observe change in pH when you are dropping a single drop from your burette. So in this potentiometric titration you are going to calculate the pKa value with change in shape of the titration curve. As you are dropping each drop from burette, it will result into either acceptance of proton or donation of proton. So this will result into development of EMF. So this EMF of a cell is given by equation EMF of cell is equal to EMF of reference electrode plus EMF of indicator plus EMF of the junction formed between acid and base. So this EMF will stand EMF of reference, EMF of indicator and EMF of junction altogether contributes in the calculation of EMF of that cell, and this is nothing but your potentiometric titration for the measurement of dissociation constant. The next method by which you can determine your dissociation constant is the spectrophotometric method. In this method, you are going to utilize the principle of UV visible spectroscopy, and this UV visible spectroscopy is based on principle of absorption of ultraviolet light or visible light by your chemical compound, which results into production of distinct spectra. As on your display, you are having a flow diagram of UV visible spectrophotometer, which is having light source, monochromator, your prism, your sample holder, detector and recorder as the components of UV visible spectrophotometer. Each component has its own function in the processing of UV visible spectrophotometer. Light source is responsible, like your deuterium lamp or your tungsten lamp are responsible to emit ultraviolet rays in the range of 190 to 400 nanometer. Deuterium lamp reflects your light rays in the range of UV region, that is 190 to 400 nanometer, and the tungsten lamp emits the light rays in the visible region, that is between 400 to 800 nanometer. So the light rays emitted by your light source are vibrating in all the direction. So to have the resolution between this polychromatic radiation, every radiation moving from light source to the monochromator reflects into its own direction. They are moving in different directions. So by resolving these polychromatic radiations into their individual length or individual wavelength is the working principle of your monochromator. And this monochromator sometimes consists of an entrance slit which will allow conversion of polychromatic light into monochromatic light. The polychromatic light is the one which travels in different direction, whereas monochromatic allows direct to travel into single direction. So this entrance slit accommodate the source radiation and mirror to pass the light ray through the system. The prism reflects this light rays at the surface of two interferences, and the reflection on and off the grooves are noted or dispersed by the grating into its component wavelength. So once this monochromatic light passes from the sample holder, the proportion which has been absorbed, the proportion of ultraviolet light which has been absorbed by your chemical compound will be noted by means of detector. The change in absorbance, the change in absorbance of light noted by detector is reflected into your recorder. So this UV visible spectroscopy is based on the principle of absorption of electromagnetic radiations. By means of absorption of electromagnetic radiation, your compound, your electron undergoes excitation from low energy state to high energy state. So, with this excitation that will emit a radiations in that particular range of ultraviolet or visible spectroscopy. So, the lambda max of these two different drugs will be different. There are various UV spectroscopic methods like your simultaneous equation method, your multiple peaks Gaussian fitting method, molar ratio method and much more utilized for the measurement of dissociation constant. The next method by which you can determine dissociation constant is your colorimetry method. In this colorimetry method, all these methods work by the same principle of measurement of heat evolved either as a physical process or a chemical process that is taking place into the sample. So, the precision thermometer, which is responsible to provide heat to the sample cup where you are allowing your sample to be in contact. So the two electrodes which are experiencing the exchange, the isothermal titration colorimetry is the regular acid base titration which is carried in the colorimeter. The energy required to keep the temperature constant is measured in the process of colorimetry method. This method also calculates the dissociation constant directly from a measured enthalpy change, and this enthalpy change is denoted by delta H. By plotting the minima or the maxima versus pH, we will have a sigmoid curve which represents the dissociation constant from the inflection point, by which you can have an idea about dissociation constant at that inflection point using colorimetry method. The principle of separation and distribution of analyte between a mobile phase and a stationary phase is used for the determination of dissociation constant with the help of liquid chromatography. And so as to have that impact of liquid chromatography in the measurement of dissociation constant, we will use the pump, injector, column, detector, recorder, degasser and column heater as the component of the HPLC. So the solvent which is passed from your solvent assembly is pumped to the HPLC column. With moving solvent as your mobile phase at the sample injection point with help of syringe, the sample is introduced to the flow of fluid. The column is responsible for the process of separation. Basically, in recent years, the stainless steel housing and glass columns are preferred. The packing material generally used in column are your silica or polymer gels compared to calcium carbonate. So once you are injecting sample to the eluent by means of the flow of eluent is maintained with the help of pump. So the pump will generate a flow of eluent from the solvent reservoir into the system. So once the sample is injected and that is passed to the column, the process of separation is actually taken place at the column. So this detector will observe the process of separation. The recorder, the computer based data processors, they are also known as integrators. These integrators are attached in the process with the detector. You can have the actual data acquisition into these computers. The different retention behavior of protonized and non-protonized form of test material serves the base for liquid chromatography method. So the separation, the points noted by your PC with help of detector for protonized and non-protonized material is observed by means of recorder. The retention time is determined in relationship to the pH value of your mobile phase by using reversed phase high performance liquid chromatography method. This high performance liquid chromatography method is advantageous to determine dissociation constant value for low water soluble drug having a consumption of very less sample of material. Dissociation constant is greatly affected by change in pH, ionic strength and temperature of the system, and in the same way the pH of mobile phase do affects on retention of acidic and basic drug. A general equation which relates the observed retention factor to the pH of the mobile phase, you can have dissociation constant as per the formula on your display, in which K0 is the retention factor of undissociated species, Kr is the retention value or retention factor of dissociated species, Kar is the product of first R dissociation constant, and N is the ionization constant. The X is related to the pH of mobile phase, which is equal to 2.303 pH. The next and the last method by which you can determine dissociation constant is capillary zone electrophoresis. This capillary zone electrophoresis serves a useful tool for determination of value of dissociation constant. It has various advantages over potentiometric and spectrophotometric method. Since the pH influences the electrophoretic behavior of the substance, a relation can be established between pH and pKa and the electrophoretic mobility of compound. The electrophoretic mobility of compound is denoted by the symbol mu EP. So this mu EP is the electrophoretic mobility of compound in centimeter square speed. This electrophoretic mobility is the given in the form of apparent electrophoretic mobility. It may also be given as electroosmotic mobility. So having the combination, subtraction and multiplication of these values will have the influence on determination of pH by using electrophoretic zone electrophoresis. There are various applications for which you can have the determination of dissociation constant. For the sake of drugs which are supposed to be available into body tissues, dissociation constant is useful for determination of their concentration and distribution. It also has impact on the process of solubilization and permeation. As like the term is having close affinity with the pH, this dissociation constant is useful in determination of pH indicator, or the case where you need to select pH indicator can be helpful by using dissociation constant. The design of buffer is also dependent on dissociation constant. So this was about dissociation constant, which is the ratio of product of concentration of individual component to the concentration of the product, that is unionized to ionized one. In the case, we have studied the measurement of dissociation constant and various applications. Thank you.